Hello, today we're going to look at more automation. Their 800DT, which is a batch controller installation. So we're going to go through how to install. Go to the back page, we go to our relays. And the wiring diagram shows R1 relay is our burner control. Well, it's a little windy here today, wants to argue with me. R1 is our burner control. R2 is our start relay. R3 is our stop relay. R4 is our safety circuit. So we're going to start by going to the burner and look at how to wire these up. We're doing connecting to a stuck-up burner. Installed these relays in here. We have the R1. We have this red wire. So these two are your coil wires, this red one and this yellow one. So we're going to take this wire, which is hooked to the contact, and this one here. We bring our power in from our burner. This is our power to our burner. And we're going to hook that, remove the wire that was hooked there and hook up the burner wire. The other side, this red wire, we're going to bring over here and we're going to connect it to the heater power. So the heater power is going to go through R1 to the burner. R2 is our start relay. We have our orange and yellow coil wires. We have an orange wire off the contact here. And we have our orange wire here off the contact. So those two wires we're going to run over and we're going to hook them to the start button. This is the start button right here. So we're going to hook the R2, the one orange wire, to the one side of the start button, the other orange wire to the other side of the start button. Then we're going to take our R3, we have our coil wires again, but underneath we have two blue wires, a blue wire coming from the contact part of the relay, and another blue wire from the contact part, and we're going to run them over here. We're going to put female spade ends on them. We're going to remove this wire from the stop switch, so we want to go in series with the stop switch, and we're going to hook up these two wires in its place. So instead of that jumper wire coming off the stop switch to the fuse, we hook in R3 relay. Now R4 is a little more complicated. If you look here, we have this resistor hooked to A2 and to 11. And we have a wire coming off 11, so that's a coil wire. That we need. And then we have a wire here coming off of A1. So the wire's hooked to A1 and 11 or 31. We're going to connect those two to the contactor on the motor side right here to get 220 volts. So the 220 volts here pulls in this relay. And so these here, we are hooked to the contacts on each of these, but on this one we hook to the coil. It's a 110 relay, so they have a resistor in here, so we can hook 220 to it, and it uses 220 to run the coil. Not going to get into the details of that. So that we hook to T1 and T2 of the motor wires coming off the contactor. And that is how we hook them relays into the fan heater. Now we're going to snap these back on here. If we can. This one here I don't like to snap in. Okay, we got them all latched in place. Now what we have left for wires here is each of the coil wires off R1, R2, and R3. Okay, also in here we hooked our neutral wire from the burner power. I hooked this neutral to the neutral terminal, and now the electrician is going to have to bring neutral to there for running the burner. I hooked the ground down to the ground terminal, and this power of course goes to R1. So that's all that I install in here. The electrician's going to need to run these wires back to the control panel, and I will get to that in a few minutes. Also, when installing while we're out here at the fan and heater, when installing a soak up fan and burner on a Lambton Ultra Dry, we take this with a more 800 DT controls. This is our thermostat wire. I cut the thermostat wire and I install the thermostat up on the side, and then I'm going to need to, which I'll show you that, the electrician's going to need to run a new wire from here, run conduit from here up to the thermostat and make that connection again. But I just cut the wire so he can see the colors on what needs hooked where, and that way I could get the thermostat installed a while. Now, coming back here to the control box, if we look here at our wiring, we have a red wire, a yellow wire, an orange wire, a blue wire, then we have a red and a black coming off that R4. And they get wired up here. The red goes to terminal 7, which is terminal 7. The yellow wire goes to terminal 8, which is terminal 8 in the control box. And we just wire those wires back to the controller. This would be if we have another fan heater, but we only have one, so we just hook these up. And then there's also the thermostat wires that need to come from up in the top of the dryer, which we installed them, and conduit needs to be run down and hooked into the control box. So this control box, we hook our control wires from our fan heater into these as directed, and then we hook a 110 volt and a neutral to here to power this box. So we bring our thermostat wires in, our thermometer wires in, grain temperature wires in, and we hook them to 15 and 16. We hook our relays in here, and our power in here, 110 power in here, and that is all this box gets. I installed the thermostat right here. One in the side of the bin. Always put the thermostat in the thermometer in the side of the bin, halfway up the sheet that has the fan heater blowing in, and also at least 5 foot away from where the burner actually blows into the bin. they're installed, 16 inches off the floor. Grain's gonna be about 32 inches deep there, so they'll be about in the center of the grain. The tip of them will be. Installed one right here, ran around, put one halfway around the bin. Ran the wire out the eave. The electrician's gonna wanna bring a conduit up here and have this wire go down a conduit down to the control box. The height of the bottom of the air duct fan blowing in, so we need to go a half sheet down at least and put in a rotary switch to make sure we don't overflow the storage chamber and have grain run back down into the fan and heater. So we need to put a rotary switch in there, that way we know when it's full. And also, up top, there needs to be a rotary switch installed up here, right next to the peak. Preferably like right here would fit nice. Right next to the peak with a 12-inch extension on it for letting the customer know when the drying chamber is full.